Welcome to the Women Choosing Growth podcast, where we bring you practical advice and guidance on how to grow your business and achieve success in your entrepreneurial journey. We feature inspiring stories of success, challenges of growth, and lessons learned from women entrepreneurs, industry experts, and thought leaders who have been through the growing pains inevitable as an entrepreneur. Whether you are just getting started or are looking to scale up your business, our show is designed to provide you with the tools, resources, and community you need to grow your business. Join your host, Tina, a lifelong entrepreneur and business growth advisor, as we explore topics such as marketing, sales, finance, leadership, and personal growth, all tailored specifically to the needs of women entrepreneurs. So if you're ready to grow your business faster and smarter, and learn from the experiences of those who have traveled the growth path before you, then this podcast is for you. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode featuring amazing women who are successfully growing their enterprise. I'm your host, Tina Sue, and today's guest is Tracy Marlowe. In 2008, with a new infant at home, Tracy began building Creative Noggin, a fully remote advertising agency. Over the past 25 years, she and her team have worked with recognizable brands such as Disney, ExxonMobil, and the U.S. Air Force. Her agency has grown from just over $100,000 in sale in year one to upwards of $7 million in revenue. Her mission is to empower smart, passionate women to do work that they enjoy while balancing their home life with the support of a family-first work environment. Tracy believes that creating a culture which nurtures women's benefits her organization and their clients. Today, Tracy is sharing her growth story, why she believes you need to let go to grow, and practical advice on how you can have the same mentality in your business to grow your empire. Welcome to the show, Tracy.
Thanks so much, Tina. I really appreciate you having me. I'm glad to be here.
I am excited to have you here too. Letting go to grow is definitely something that sometimes we need to hear over and over. So before we dive into that though, you founded Creative Noggin while balancing a brand new baby. So I really want to know what inspired you to take that leap and how did you manage those challenges in the early days of balancing baby, home life, all the things?
Oh, honestly, my daughter inspired me. I was a total career gal while I was young, in my younger part of my career. And I was growing, in my career, climbing the ladder. I was very ambitious. And I loved working. I was really passionate about work. And that continued throughout my pregnancy. I had every plan of just continuing to, grow in my career. And the day that baby came out, I was like a changed woman. It changed my life. It changed my perspective. And I just realized that being a mom was a priority for me. And that while I still wanted to do work I loved and was passionate about, I really, really wanted to be there for my daughter and be present for her in her life. And so, managing a new infant daughter while you're growing a business was a challenge at times. And as the business grew, there were definitely challenges that came up. But really, we were strategic problem solvers at that time and realized that sometimes, okay, wait, this isn't working. We're gonna have to find a new way. And, I just kind of rolled with the punches and really was nimble and just tried to problem solve as issues came up.
Mm-hmm. Sounds very similar to my story. It was the same thing when I was pregnant with my daughter, my first. I was like, I need to be a different kind of mom than I would have been in the career I was in. And yeah, a lot of sleepless nights too.
Sleepless nights.
Yes.
But it was all good. I mean, it worked out really great. She's 17 now, my daughter is, and she's amazing. So
Awesome. So I feel like because of the culture that you have built and what you've really built such a successful business around is this empowering women culture. Tell me how that really, your story seems related to, was it the people that you decided to hire? How did that, your having this brand new baby, trying to build a business, really incorporate into what you are building?
It was something that it was turned out to be really beautiful because the business that I started building was really intended for myself. I mean, it was to empower myself as a mother to have the flexibility and the capabilities to be present in her life. I wanted to be able to run to the daycare and breastfeed her, or if she had a little show or whatever, a little recital, I could go and leave in the middle of the day and not feel like I'd be penalized in my career for it. And then that turned out that I was able to give that same flexibility and empowerment to other women that I hired. And it was really beautiful. And so we've been very intentional with continuing to build that and make that really the center of our business.
Tell me more about that. Like, how does someone go about? Is there specific strategies? How do you keep up with that? Because I know that can be hard too. I've had employees that sort of took advantage of that flexibility in the
Mhm.
past. So, what kind of strategies or policies did you have in place to kind of guide you?
Yeah. I mean, we really do believe, we believe in a family first workplace. We have a very supportive culture, but what we also do is we really foster very open communications. I think that communication is key. We don't want people just sitting in their home feeling like they're alone, and that they, don't have somebody aware if they're not working. We have procedures in place where people are checking in when they come in. If they are leaving, they check out. So if somebody's reaching out to them with a question, because really everybody's very interconnected, and the work that one person's doing is very dependent on the work somebody else is doing. So if somebody's reaching out to somebody during the day when they're supposedly in and they're not responding, they're going to pick up the phone and call them. And I mean, people, and if that continues to be a problem, those will quickly rise to the surface just because of the way that our procedures work, and the way that we really fluidly communicate throughout the day. We also really foster, an environment of trust and our culture of trust, but it's also very clear at the same time that the trust isn't just the company trusting our employees, it's also the trust of the other people that you're working with, because everybody that we hire
Mm.
tends to be very high performers, and they really are relying on other people in order to perform at their highest use. And so if they're trusting you to get your job done and you're watching TV and doing the laundry, then you're really letting them down. And so you're inhibiting them from functioning at their highest success level. And so that, I think that really building a culture where it's very clear that we're all relying on one another, puts a lot of impetus on people to make sure that they're showing up in every way.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. And it sounds like you had set those kind of parameters from the beginning to be able to be like, I call them bumpers, right? Like, here's your
Mhm.
runway that you can work within our company and be successful.
For sure, for sure. And the other thing is, I will say that we have learned not everybody works well from home. So there's certain things that we do because we were built as a remote environment. We weren't a company that really had to sort of be nimble and flexible and change during COVID. And now we're trying to retrofit it. We were always this way. So everything that we've put in place has been put in place specifically to identify people who will work well from home. We have personality testing that we use. And we do try to hire people with a history of working remote that have done it before, because sometimes people think they want to work remote and then they get into it and realize, hey, this is not for me. I'm really not cut out for this. And so and then we also put all of our, processes, our project management system, everything all lives online and in the cloud. So that, I mean, our server, everything. And so everything was built on that premise of a remote agency. And so that those guardrails, like you spoke of, exist, and they're clear. And if somebody's continually hitting up against them, we have ways of seeing that.
Sure. That makes sense. Now, you've grown significantly from your $100,000 of revenue in year one to, multi-million at this point. So I want to know, one of the things that you had shared with me prior to this call today was that letting go to grow was a huge strategy for you. I want to know more. What does that mean to you, letting go to grow?
I had an amazing CPA who said something to me. Sometimes somebody will say something to you and a light bulb goes off, and you'll never forget that thing that person said to you because it was a real pivotal moment. And he was, he'd been doing this for a while, and he'd seen a lot of business owners that he'd worked with kind of get to a point where it's just that pivotal point in the business where they decide, okay, this is good. I'm just going to plateau and stay here, or no, I'm going to make these changes. And he said, Tracy, the reality is every business owner comes to a point where they realize that that thing that they are good at, that thing that has been magical, that's made them successful up until that point in time, that in order for their business to grow, they have to hire other people to do that thing, and they may not do it the same way. And you got to let that go. And I was, I mean, I hate to admit it, but I'm, anybody in my family will laugh, but I mean, I'm a little bit of a control freak. So, I think most entrepreneurs,
Driven women are.
some degree, we are all a little freaky in that regard, that we do something, we do it really well. We love doing it because it's something that we are passionate about. And then there comes a point where you have to just hand the reins over to other people and say, all right, you're going to go do this thing. And I have to accept the fact that as long as you get to this end point, it's okay if you go a different route. And so that was a big pivotal moment for me. And when I really started hiring and growing the company and kind of delegating and elevating and allowing other people to do things and learning how to not micromanage, because I didn't have the time, really needed to let other people do their thing. So that is really, I love that let go to grow, because it really is, if you want to grow, comes a point where you got to let go.
Mm-hmm. I remember that moment for myself too. It was exactly what you said, and exactly what a lot of other driven, a little bit of perfectionism in us driven women, because it's typically not done the same way you would have, or in the same time frame, or the same path, or even the same quality. And I remember that struggle, and it took me probably a year to get really out of my own head on allowing some of that stuff to take place. And someone said the same thing to me too, like, Tina, you can do it at 100, but if someone else can do it at 80 while you're doing something else to 100, isn't that good math? And that was like one of the eye opening for me, like 80% compared to what I would have done at 100% is still amazing. Right.
Yeah.
So as long as the quality is there, customers, clients, whatever, are happy, and it's really good quality, like that's okay.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. That is good math, and it is a realization. And I won't lie, there are still days where I'll get down in the weeds and I'm like, hey, why are we doing this way? Couldn't we do it this way? Wouldn't this be better? And then they just kind of look at me and I'm like, Tracy, step away. I'm like, okay. But that's also having a management team and empowering them to be open and honest with you and give you feedback and know that you're okay with it. I'm a grown woman, and I can take my take my feedback well. So
Yes, you have that culture, right? That they can be like,
yeah.
step aside, lady. Like, we've got this.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's that open and honest. I think that's one of the things, is learning that really, really good teams are not afraid to grapple with hard issues. So
Yeah. And like you said, you still deal with that sometimes now, which is perfectly normal for, again, driven women. For those who are listening, and everyone listening is in a growth mode. So if those who are listening are at that point where they're maybe either seeing that plateau, they haven't quite, maybe they're growing by single digits, they're not quite getting to the level that they want. What are some of the things that, besides that CPA kind of saying that to you, like, what did you have to do strategically, tactically, to really offload some of those things? Like what was your strategy?
For me, really being able, do you mean like in order for me to be able to just offload things, or like how did I go about doing that? Is that what you mean?
Yes, because it's hard to do that, right? Because we want to do it our way, but then you need to let go. So how did you let go of the first couple of things, or how did that snowball to
I
having
think
a
for
leadership
me,
team?
it was more around identifying for me first. I had to learn and realize what was my highest and best use. So I did, I mean, I literally have had, a list that I wrote down and was like, okay, these are all the things I do, right? I do all these things. Okay. Now, where do I find my most joy? Number one, what do I enjoy doing the most? And then number two, what am I really hella good at? And I may not enjoy it, but like, what am I super good at? And so for me, what became my goal was that thing that I was super joyful about. I wanted that to be a thing that's all I do all day long. Like that's the thing that brings me joy. And then the thing I'm hella good at, like that is something that too I continued doing until finally got to a point where it's like, okay, I've got to start handing this over to other people, because even though it may not always bring me joy, I I can't scale if I'm the only person doing it. So,
Mhm.
and then every single other thing on there that I was still doing that I really wasn't really the best person to do, or that I really wasn't, necessarily even hella good at. Those are the things that I started identifying different roles and just hiring people to do those things. And so that's how I started going about it, and really just identifying those in terms of like potential roles. And as we grew and had more needs for those things, that's when I started just hiring people who really specialized in that. Because the reality is, like, even though you don't like doing it, that doesn't mean there's not somebody out there who doesn't love doing that and that they're
For sure.
crazy good at it and it brings them lots of joy. So
Mhm.
that was another eureka moment for me, is that those things in my business that maybe I really didn't enjoy, there might be somebody out there that loves it. So
That is actually a really good point, because I have heard that from clients before. I'm like, no one's going to want to do this. Like, actually, yes. Like, people love all aspects of any business, right? And especially in marketing for you, there's so many pieces of what you're working
mhm.
on with clients that it takes several different skill sets to really
Yeah.
produce the end result. So, do you remember what was your very first hire?
It was more in the creative realm. We hired, so although that's not true, actually. I take it back. No, it was the first hire was actually an account person. And came to the point where I realized I couldn't manage all the accounts myself.
Hmm.
And so then I came to a point where I was like, okay, this is the thing that I actually really loved, but I needed other people to come in and do it. And so that was the first hire. And that was hard, but
Hmm.
I just
That's
recognized that.
client facing then, right?
Mhm.
Like they're,
Yeah.
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 Yep, a second face to the
Um,
brand.
yeah.
Yeah. That is one of those strategies too, to like, what are the things that take actual, like, you can't scale beyond X number of clients because they require X number of hours, per week or per month in most service businesses. So that is something where, to scale, like you
Mhm.
said, you can only meet with so many people unless you're working 12-hour days, which
Yeah.
wasn't part of the strategy. Wasn't part of the plan.
Mhm. No, it wasn't. Although
No.
that may have happened. So here and there, but for
Exactly.
sure you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, incredible women entrepreneurs. It's Tina Sue here. I know you're juggling a lot, growing your business, managing family time, and trying to find balance. Deep down, you know you're capable of so much more. But maybe fear or uncertainty is holding you back from achieving that dream business, that dream life that you deserve. That's why I created the Dream Big, Plan Bigger guide, a game changer for your business growth. This isn't just another goal setting document, it's your personal roadmap to achieving the impossible. Imagine having a clear vision of your biggest dreams, breaking through the barriers that hold you back, and reigniting that passion that fuels your journey. This guide is your roadmap to doing just that without compromising your family time or your personal priorities. You deserve to see your business thrive and still have time for what you love. Let's take this journey together. Download your free Dream Big, Plan Bigger workbook now at tina-sue.com and start making those dreams a reality. Now, let's get back to the show. On the same subject of letting go to grow, how do you see that play over into your personal life?
That's a good question. Yeah,
Your kids are older now.
my kids are older. Yeah, I know. I think it's been one of those things. To be honest with you, that's a good point. But I think for me, and I mean, as a recommendation to other women, is realizing that in order to grow personally, we have to take time for ourselves. And so I personally and professionally, honestly. And so I became very intentional. It's funny. Somebody said that to me one time. I was like, you have to schedule a time for yourself. You can't find the holes. Cause if you just say, I'm going to take some time, but I'll do it when I get some time, the time will never happen. And so it was really learning to be very intentional about carving out time for, number one, professional development, and then number two, personal development, and not just going to the spa getting your nails done, but really I've done a lot of, you know, seminars and things like that, and gotten a member of organizations that have all sorts of talks and whatnot. And so I take time out for those things and I schedule them in advance, and then I guard them with my life. And so, because it's typically easy for us, I think, as women to have somebody say, well, I can meet at this time. And you see that thing you've scheduled for yourself and you think, well, this is more important. It's business. No, go back to them and say, I'm sorry, I can't meet at that time. Here's some other times I can't meet. Because the reality is you've got to really take the time for yourself, put the oxygen mask on yourself first if you're going to take care of all these other people.
I love that. I know letting go to grow as our kids are getting older, and we briefly talked about that before. That's also, as we say that saying, letting go to grow. It's like, man, I've had to let my kids make decisions that I would have done things differently, but they have to do it themselves and or the spouse. There's always that.
Yeah. No, my kids
letting
are
your spouse do
teenagers
something,
now.
You could do better.
There's a lot of letting go I'm trying to do with my teenagers in terms of,
Yes.
because it's hard, because when they're little, you can, tell them what to wear and tell them what to do, tell them what activities they're going to do.
And they listen.
You can influence their friendships. I mean, you can be pretty involved when they're really little, but when they're teenagers, you just have to sort of start to trust that foundation you put in place, just like at your company, all those things, all that work we did, putting all of those things in place, that okay, now they're empowered to make their own decisions, and just believe that all that foundational work you did has empowered them to make the right ones.
Yep, exactly.
Or learn from their mistakes.
Which we all have to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's go back to that growth that you have experienced over the years, and how, it sounds wonderful. Like, you went from 100,000 to over 7 million, people listening, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. That'll never be me. Right. Because it just sounds like she hired people and just things blew up and it was all rainbows and unicorns. I know that is not the case. So how did you ensure that as you were growing, you're adding new personalities, you're trying to build more culture, bringing on new clients? Like, that's some significant growth. And how did you balance that flexibility in the culture you're trying to build at the same time as, just really running a concrete business?
Yeah, I would say that one of the things that I did was, first of all, I never grew simply for the sake of growth. It was very intentional and selective. I actually ahead of time put down a list of, like, these are the types of clients that I want. This is my sweet spot. This is my target market. And I even identified, here's who I will not take. And sometimes that's the easier thing, because a lot of times we talk about our target market, but sometimes it helps to actually go in and say, these are the people are a hard no for me. And, I even went down to the level of saying, when they do those first initial calls with me, I'm interviewing them as much as they are interviewing me. There are core questions I ask that help me identify whether or not they'll be a good client for us, because there's certain clients that we've identified really we don't enjoy working on, and we don't have as good a chance of success for them. And so I'm very intentional about saying, hey, I don't think that we're going to be a good fit for you. Let me refer you to somebody who could, or you should maybe think about going this route. So being very, very intentional and selective with the clients that we believe in, and especially that we believe in what they're doing. Really believing in the work that we're doing. So that's one of the things I would say that has really helped, and just doing work that we know and identifying clients where they have work where I know we can shine. That has really been part of the strategy. And then adding people as well, very intentionally as well, and identifying. We usually have already identified these are the next roles we're going to need in our company, and so we're planning it ahead. We even plan down to the personality type and personality profile that we need, the skills that we need. I mean, it's pretty intentional. So just never I've learned, because believe me, there's been times where we've been growing and I've reactively hired someone, and it never goes well. Well, I
No.
would say it rarely goes well, because I have
Yeah.
somebody on my team now that was during a time when we were growing really fast, and I made a fast hire, but it was a good, I mean, it was a good hire. So it was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
that's rare.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right. One of my favorite sayings that I had back in the day when I was recruiting nonstop, in home health, and a job easy to get is a job easy to leave. So like it's just automatically, if you hire someone with that I need you mentality and they get it like
Mm-hmm.
after the first interview, then they
Yeah.
think like that, they're the ones who are controlling the show. And that's
Mm-hmm.
I saw that
Mm-hmm.
more often than not. I learned the hard way
Yeah.
with that one too.
Yeah.
Yes. So it sounds like very strategic in your growth, very intentional in your hiring, very
Mhm.
intentional in your client base. Like, although not all rainbows and unicorns, you're being methodical, it sounds, in your growth.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah.
Very good.
We're very selective, and just trying to make sure we're healthy growth. Because we had a time where we grew like 300% 3 years in a row. Like, and I was like, okay, this hurts. I mean, it's
Yeah.
painful. Like, I can't, because when you're growing that fast, you're having to change your software, change your policies and your procedures and everything like that, because it doesn't work. What works at one size doesn't always work at another size. And so, and trying to onboard people, and it's just painful. And so recognize that, okay, healthy growth is a good thing. So really started trying to be very intentional with that and selective.
Let's talk about who you work with. Since you're mentioning your ideal clients, like what is it that what is your ideal companies that you work with?
We we really focus on working with companies that are very mission driven. Most of the companies we work with, I'd say, I think we're at about 70% now of our companies that we work with are a not for profit. And not, when I say not for profit, I don't mean all of them. Some are charitable nonprofits, but actually the bulk are not. But some of them are like healthcare systems that are not for profit, or government agencies that are not for profit. But the reality is, when you are a not for profit entity, typically you have a lot to accomplish, and the budget that you have is not really sufficient in a corporate world for the goals that you have. And so what we're typically really good at is working with organizations that are in that situation, where they have people that they're trying to reach that are often very niche, or it's a certain market that they need to reach into, and we help them find an efficient way to reach them. Usually something that we know is going to be the most effective means of reaching them, or putting together plans of like, okay, you're going to reach them in these 3 different ways. This is the most effective way. And then once you reach them, how do you inspire them to actually engage with you and connect with you and stay with you and refer to you. And so it's really just problem solving. A lot of times, people come to us with some kind of a problem, a marketing problem, and then helping them to solve that through marketing tools. And the other thing is at the heart of everything we do is we're a branding company. So we work with companies a lot of times where they're at a point where their branding isn't necessarily reflective of who they are. And so a lot of times we'll take that and we can either do a rebrand or we start to evolve and craft that brand. Because maybe the branding itself is okay, but it's needing some tightening. And so we help them usually to really evolve their brand so that it stands out from the clutter, because a cluttered marketplace in terms of advertising and whatnot, and it's hard to stand out. So we're really good at helping people figure out how to do that.
I love that. And working with the mission-based or like goal-based, I know you also doesn't part of your profits or revenue go? Yeah, you want to tell us more about that?
We're very mission driven ourselves. Our mission statement is to empower smart, passionate women and to enjoy their work and life. And that has really been at the center of everything that we do for a while now. And really forever, but now we put words to it 3 years ago and started really focusing in on it. And we also donate a minimum of 5% of our profits every year to causes that support women. So it's a big thing for us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think everyone listening would appreciate that as well. Being women.
I hope so. Being all women, right?
Yeah. Being all women. I love that. I'm glad that you were able to share and paint the picture of what you do best so that you can let go to grow. What are your final words of advice for women who are in growth mode themselves right now?
I would say, first of all, just figure out what is your highest and best use, and then make it a goal to get to a point in your business where the core focus of your job and what you do every day is that. It may not happen overnight. It happened very gradually for me to get there, but it was always the goal. And my leadership team knew that it was the goal. We had it in writing as the goal, get Tracy to where this is what she's doing, because we knew that the company would best function when I was in that role, and that others were doing doing those other things I don't like to do, and that they shine doing. And the other thing is, I'd say, make it a goal to find and hire people who are smarter than you, because that is also really pivotal to success within your company. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Hire smart people and they will inspire you every day. And then last but not least, schedule time for yourself and protect it with your life. Put that oxygen mask on yourself first, so that you can nourish yourself personally and professionally.
I love it. Appreciate everything you've shared here today, Tracy. Just appreciate you being here.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. I really enjoyed it.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. The Women Choosing Growth Show is not just another podcast. It's a tribe of women helping each other grow. So please share this podcast with all the women entrepreneurs that you would love to see succeed. If you'd like to know more about customized business advising through Cultivate Advisors, download business tools, or sign up for upcoming events, visit www.womenchoosinggrowth.com. Once again, that's www.womenchoosinggrowth.com. Remember, we are in this together. See you on the next one.